Outlaw biker gangs have infiltrated the federal government to access the data of Canadians, and the shocking details came out in testimony before the Public Sector Labor Relations and Employment Board. A Canadian federal agency has repeatedly been infiltrated by organized crime gangs. No, this is not a joke about the Liberals and their constant illegal activities and unethical things like handing their friends at huge contracts to do nothing and cutting sweetheart deals with corrupt Liberal-linked Quebec-based engineering firms named SNC-Lavalin to avoid criminal prosecution for that company's corruption. I mean, real gangsters have infiltrated the CRA of all places, probably the one government agency that knows the most about you, from how much you make to where you earn it, to where your kids go to daycare, to who your dentist is, to where you gas up your vehicle. It's actually quite chilling when you think of it. Blacklock's reporter has the story today sitting behind their paywall. Look at this. Michelle Lafleur, manager of investigations at the Internal Affairs Division, told the Public Sector Labor Relations and Employment Board the agency has seen several serious risk situations materialize through employees' associations with criminals. In one case, a CRA employee became romantically involved with a biker gang member and used her access to give the gang personal information about their debtors and their lawyers, said a board report. Another employee involved with a biker gang used his access to provide gang members with personal information about members of the police force. For example, child care locations, wrote board adjudicator Nancy Rosenberg. The Labor Board disclosures came over the firing of an unidentified agency manager, the acting chief of personnel screening, for numerous run-ins with police, including convictions for impaired driving. Adjudicator Rosenberg upheld the firing, noting the former manager had access to information on high-profile matters. Now, seriously, I dug up a 2018 article about this exact bizarre situation of biker gangs infiltrating the National Tax Agency, which is one heck of a crazy sentence for someone to say out loud. Just look at this. CRA worker who was secretly an outlaw biker gets 30 months for snooping in people's files. The man who accessed personal tax information as an employee of the Canada Revenue Agency in Greater Sudbury was sentenced to 30 months in jail. Christopher Casola, 48, pleaded guilty on October 11th to 3 charges, including breach of trust by a public official, possession of a restricted firearm, a handgun with readily accessible ammunition, and possession of a non-restricted firearm without a license. He was sentenced December 3rd. He must also submit a DNA sample as part of the sentencing. Now, friends, the CRA has had a very serious problem protecting your privacy from both criminals and nosy public sector union employees for years now. Just look at this from just a couple years ago. The Canada Revenue Agency says 8 of its employees were fired in the last fiscal year after violating taxpayers' privacy. Previously, the agency has not always confirmed if an employee was fired or shuffled out of the CRA for being part of a privacy breach, often citing the employee's privacy. Go figure. A spokesman for the agency says the employees in each case were found to have had unauthorized access to taxpayer information, including one incident that the CRA calls the largest such breach in the agency's history. In that case, one employee improperly accessed the accounts of 1,264 taxpayers. All of the firings took place between April 2016 and March 2017, the federal government's fiscal year. The privacy watchdog made 13 recommendations in 2013 in areas including monitoring of employees' access rights, threat and risk assessment for information technology systems, and ensuring the privacy impacts of new programs are evaluated. Still, privacy violations have dogged the CRA. In February, the CRA reported that it had lost a DVD containing information on about 28,000 Yukon taxpayers. The information from the 2014 tax year hasn't been recovered. Now, privacy breaches like this and The ease with which criminals are able to infiltrate the Canadian government has broader implications, if that's even possible. If Trudeau's minority government falls on a confidence vote and Canadians have to go to the polls, surely the government will insist on mail-in or online voting because of the coronavirus. But if they can't keep my tax records safe from bikers, how are they going to keep our elections safe from Chinese hackers? For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you'd like to help ensure the safety of our journalists as they bring you the other side of the story, please go to journalistdefensefund.com.